Okay, here's another question. So this is about, okay, so I decided to send my old history teacher your famous Chinese sweatshops video. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. And I would be interested in hearing your response to his reply. So this is his professor replying. The guy talking about the sweatshops isn't totally repulsive. Well, that's good. I'm not totally repulsive. I'm just partially repulsive. My question, this is the teacher going on, is whether, whilst capitalism may generate wealth, it is necessarily the ultimate option for achieving the greatest level of happiness. We have found something that can have a positive impact on the world, but also some negative impact. Just as we should not tell the sweatshop worker he cannot have his $2 a day, we should not necessarily tell him he should be grateful for the position he's in. At the height of the Industrial Revolution, life for industrial workers was awful. Throughout much of the 20th century, in the West, we have been modifying capitalism, implementing the welfare state, and it has made our lives better. Why should those in the West and in Asia not hope to make more adaptations in the future such that we continue to enjoy the benefits of capitalism? So the questioner asks, I would be interested if you had a response, especially to the second half of the statement about modifying capitalism. All right. Where do I begin? Okay. So there is a complete misconception here of what capitalism is. Capitalism is not the system that brings the greatest good to the greatest number of people or the greatest happiness to the greatest number. I don't know what that system is because I have no idea how to measure any of that. Capitalism is the system of freedom. Capitalism is the system of freedom. It's the system that elevates freedom politically above all else. It elevates individual rights and therefore the freedom of the individual to live his life as he sees fit in pursuit of his rational values, free of coercion. That is what capitalism is. It is the system that protects individual rights. Now, I think almost by definition that therefore it is the system that is going to promote the most happiness among individuals. Because who is in the best position to tell what will make you happy or not? You. Not some government bureaucrat, somebody who's going to tell you how much money to keep, how much to contribute or donate or be stolen from you, how much money to invest, how much money to buy this stuff, how much money to buy that stuff. So if we're left free as individuals to pursue our own happiness, then that's all we can say politically in terms of what is good. It's that the political system leaves you free and actually protects your freedom to pursue your own happiness. That's what capitalism means. So how wealthy you become is not the standard for whether capitalism is good or bad. The standard for whether capitalism is good or bad is whether you are free, whether you can make choices free of coercion. Now, it turns out, not surprisingly at all, that when you leave people free, they create huge amounts of wealth. Indeed, they don't create wealth unless they are free. Because the human mind, or because to create wealth requires a mind that is unconstrained. Unconstrained by authority, unconstrained by coercion, unconstrained by force. A creative mind. An innovative mind, a productive mind, a wealth-creating mind is a mind that is free from coercion and authority. And therefore, capitalism, by leaving people free, leaves people alone to think, to produce, to create, to build, to innovate, to trade, and to create wealth. Without capitalism, there is no wealth creation, or very little wealth creation. So if we look at he gives an example of in the middle of the 19th century, an industrial worker's life was awful. As compared to what? As compared to our lives here in the middle class today in the Western world, yeah. But as compared to that worker's life 100 years earlier, in a pre-industrial era, in a pre-capitalist era, his life was pretty good. So the standard by which to measure capitalism is not, I don't know, if everybody enjoys the benefit, or if most people enjoy the benefits, the material benefits of capitalism, although without any doubt they do enjoy them. It's the issue of freedom. Now, but let's take some of the concrete things that he's talking about. First of all, I'm not totally repulsive, so I'm cool with that. I like that formulation, right? You can put on my gravestone, wasn't totally repulsive. So he asks, while capitalism can generate wealth, is it necessarily the ultimate option for achieving the greatest level of happiness? And you have to ask, for whom? For individual happiness, yes, it is the ultimate option, because it's the only option that leaves the individual in charge of his own happiness. It's the only option that leaves the individual to decide which values to pursue in order to achieve his own happiness. And then he says, we have found something that can have a positive impact on the world, but also some negative impact. Like what? And he never says, right? What is the negative impact of sweatshop workers who can only have $2 a day for a while, right? As they train up and become more productive and slowly make more money. What was the horrible state of industrial workers in the mid-19th century when it was a vast improvement over how they lived 100 years earlier, and on the way to massive improvements in their future? And how do we know? He assumes here that the alterations we'd made to capitalism, i.e. the welfare state, has improved people's lives. How do we know that? That's ahistorical. That's just not true. The welfare state, in my view, has weakened economic growth, has weakened individual success and innovation, has institutionalized certain people into welfare by categorizing them as, you know, you can't do that. Here's a check we'll give you from the government to take care of you. So don't go out and work. Don't strive. Don't try hard. So there's nothing virtuous about the welfare state. The welfare state, and we're going to be putting up a video of my talk in Norway where I criticized the Norwegian welfare state. But welfare state is incredibly destructive. It's destructive because it sucks money away from those productive people who would invest it and create jobs. It's destructive because it's immoral, because it involves taking money away from people by force. It's destructive because it gives people money they haven't earned, and thus destroys their self-esteem and makes it really, really hard for them to ever achieve happiness. So in my view, the welfare state is destructive to this guy's goal of achieving happiness, So by every measure, I think that he's just got it all wrong. No, capitalism is the only system, and the more capitalism, the more freedom, the more possibility of happiness there is.